Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. He changes. I have a nice rack. I've got the Q with the U, and I can get it doubled. So I have quant or quanta, and I think I will burn the A for the extra point and to deny my opponent the A hook. Not great. G, P and V lack synergy, particularly as a threesome. But certainly, given the vowel consonant balance, I'd say this is too good to change. I do have an I for going underneath the Q, so a play of pig, or vig indeed, would work out, but that's been blocked by opponent's play. What do I have? Now, my V, well, all of my consonants can go in front of A, T. I'm just wondering if I have anything running right along the top. So that would be something EI something. And I don't. So nothing coming down from the Q. What about just playing Vig in this spot? That's 21. Rack leaves just about okay. My V can also go underneath TA. So I could play veg, so that's 21. That's 20, keeping duplicate I, that's not great. What's better than Vig? Well, I'm not seeing anything. I'm going with this Vig for 21. Well, this is another tricky rack. It doesn't feel close to a bingo. However, I do have a couple of scoring tiles. So a play of HUI would leave pine. But I think this is the situation I was in last term, where I left myself with an equal number of vowels and consonants as opposed to the preferred option of a consonant-heavy rack leave. And it's really vulnerable to having the next rack being vowel-heavy, as in this case. Well, fortunately, opponent is not zooming ahead. And I do have a nice spot for Hui here. That's 30 points, which is good. Good rack leave. What about a play beginning under the G? So that could begin up. Well, I'm not seeing anything which is 5 letters long. I am going with this. Well, looking slightly better. And I've got a good scoring tile in the K. HI takes an A in front as well as a G. Great. Opponent's still not laying any big scores on the board, which is good for me since I'm not getting bingo-y racks. Now, opponent has provided a nice K spot above OI. Drug is good, but I don't have any DK plays. Now, does anything I have go after rug? No, it doesn't. Rook is good, so I could play punked for quite a nice score. Let me see what this scores. 38 points, pretty good. Hugely volatile play. I think punked takes an S in front, and certainly there are openings in column 15, which could be very valuable for opponent. Having said that, 38 points is good. Not sure where 60 came from. Now, do I have a K something something P play? No, but I do have pink. That's 42 points, less dangerous than the punked play. However, the rack leave is worse. Now the other part of the board I wish to consider is row K. My P can go underneath the O. So I could play Kip in that spot. 30 points. I don't think anywhere I play is going to avoid gifting opponent a nice scoring spot. The attraction of playing punked is getting rid of the U. Punked rather than pinked. The alternative of pink leaves a vowel heavy rack leave DEU. Really tricky. I'm increasingly drawn to punked. 38 points. I'm going with pink. 42. And I duplicate the U. That's the danger of retaining one, and W is particularly troublesome. But I do have a P, which can help to get rid of the U because of the up prefix. So I've got upgo, updo. I've got poodoo on my rack. Great, 39 points. That could have been a lot worse. So is there anywhere for poodoo? There's quite a ladder going on here, so there may not be. Quanta takes nothing in front. I can't really play underneath bot and burn one of the U's, apart from just playing up-ho, which is going to score very little. I have updo and un. That's exposing a triple word square. Ah, well, this is a nicer spot, isn't it? Up go here for 20, precisely the tiles I drew. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything better than this. Interesting. Looks close to a bingo. And what about this floating E? Overlude, not good. But there could be an anagram there. Well, I think it's louvered, and that doesn't work with the E in this spot. And possibly veloured, but louvered certainly. UV, not a great combination, but in the context of this rack as a whole, it doesn't look too bad. I was just eyeing up Vrow in the spot where opponent has played. No floaters provided by him. I don't have anything ending in W or U or Q. So how about what opponent has provided? So my O can go underneath the J. And I really would like to split up O and U. I could play Juve. Opponent's play of Joe suggests he may have an S. Joe does take an S front hook. However, Joe was quite a good score with limited opportunities on the board, so I can't put any great strength on that deduction. And the reason for mentioning it is I'm contemplating playing Juve down here for 28 points, and if opponent has an S, well, he's got a big score and all 4 S's and both blanks to come. And I've got a lead, so it would be a shame to squander that needlessly. What about playing Vol? 31 points, and actually, although I'm retaining the U, this is quite a nice 4-letter set. I'm going with this. Ah, Bol isn't good. Rats. Okay. Ah, Vor is good. Let's see if I can salvage something from this position. Not such a good Rackley, but still a decent score. Row M pretty hot for JO plays. So let me just reconsider. And I'm wondering about playing down through this O. 11 minutes on my clock. I'm going back to this spot. Vor for 31. Great, I draw the X. And I do have an R and an E for playing in row M if opponent doesn't go there, so I have Rex. And I have axled in row H, which Vor may distract opponent from, and that's going to be a huge score because the X will get doubled. Now I have relax in row M, so I'm guaranteed a big X play next turn. But will my pleasure be dampened by an intermediary bingo from opponent? My lead, just 80 points, so that will go with a bingo. But I'll then reassert it with my X play. But if opponent doesn't bingo, I've got the opportunity of going over 100 points ahead. Great, just the 40 points for opponent. And I have axled for 68. Is there anything better? This was the first AX play I saw. Do I have any alternative plays? No, I don't think I do. Anywhere else for my X? No. Well, not too bad. I lead by 100, 35 tiles in the bag, but look at this, all 4 S's and both blanks to come. However, a tight board. Where are the bingo lanes? Columns 14 and 15, row N, and probably row B onto the E. Not a huge number. And all but rows N and L are 8-letter lanes. Now, this isn't a great rack. It's balanced, but it doesn't feel like there's a ton of 8-letter bingos, and I'm not seeing a 7. Just wondering if I can get my C tripled in row B. Not seeing a way of doing that. Great, opponent takes out that bingo lane. Now, given my lead, what can I do to occupy space in the lower part of the board? And it's quite tempting to play off a lot of tiles, given the S's and blanks to come, and in particular the blanks. Now, I think this is good. Curd, it may come off, but I think this is good. Just looking at column 14 in case I've got a bingo through the E, but I'm not seeing it. CH does take a number of vowels, but I'm really not bothered about row N bingos because they will be definitely providing scoring options in row O. So I'm taking out just one bingo lane with this play, but I'm also turning over a lot of tiles. Curd for 17. No blank. However, I have the Z and vowels to help play it. Can't see any 8s with this rack. And look at this, not a single bingo on the board. Really strange game with only 20-odd tiles to come. Jota is good. I didn't really pay attention to row N. So I do have Tsar and Jota. Can't see any Z plays through the R, which get tripled. Riser. I do have a Z play, splitting up the duplicate I as well. That's good. Well, opponent bingos with just one blank, which is a shame. It would have been nice to see both of them in the same word. So, well, I have Caesars, which is quite nice for a couple of reasons. And they don't include the rack leave. But the score's good. And I'm taking out a very useful bingo lane. I'm turning over tiles to expedite the end of the game and increase my chances of drawing the blank. C only takes an H, and both H's have been played. And the alternative of Riser, 7 fewer points. So this is a better play all round. I can't see anything in this spot which begins with a Z, or which begins with a C, plays the Z and one of the I's. Just wondering whether a column 14 play would be better. ZE is good, but I don't think it would be better, because Caesars is not only taking out the S and the T, it's also taking out row N. I'm going with this. Well, not good. For the first time in this game, I have no scoring tiles, and very unbalanced rack, with the only vowel being the I's. Remaining tiles very bingo-y, but can I hang on, given that this is a non-bingo-y board? So there really is nothing at the top. There are bingos ending OW and BE, but 9-letter plays with those endings I'm really not concerned about opponent finding. It'll be a good game to him if he does find them. Well, opponent's not given up. He's only trails by 40 points. The blank could be an H. I could make an error. 12 tiles left. I'm thinking about playing a rill to sort the rack out. How dangerous is this? It's pretty dangerous. However, I may end up doing it. It does sort the rack out. What else can I do to sort the rack out? Jots is good. Not seeing anything around there. So it was just 12 points for rill. I could play ill. Now, my lead is only 40 points, so there is a small chance that opponent could catch me without bingoing, which means I'd like to keep scoring. Let me check the remaining vowels. 5 out of 19. Not many, so I certainly don't have to play off both or 2 I's out of the 3. 7 minutes on my clock. The trouble with looking for alternatives to rill is where to look. Really not many places on the board to actually play. How foolish is rill? I've been in this place before of having a lead and then doing the one move which costs me the game. So hard. There must be somewhere else to play. And part of the reason for playing rill is this point about opponent catching me without a bingo. This is a triple word square. There are Y's, W's and F's to come. So opponent could play in this spot. Rill for 12. Well, I draw a Y. And opponent really has got one chance to bingo through this L. So galling if he does, because I can take it out next turn. Was that an act of absolute madness? Well, look how tight the whole of the rest of the board is. Where else was there to play? I guess now, having provided a floater, opponent can open the board up elsewhere to provide two bingo lanes on the board. So it's not all over if opponent doesn't bingo. But if he doesn't bingo, he really should be opening up a new bingo lane, I think. Still 5 vowels to come. I don't have anything great through this L. But I could play Inley, 7 points. I could play lay and ye for about 20 points, retaining vowels. I'm not too bothered about retaining duplicate I. Great, opponent hasn't created a new bingo lane. Interesting. And I think I can do something killing here. Sly for 29, decent score. taking out the bingo lane I've created. And there's just nothing on the board. I think this wins. And I draw another Y, which is good because it's a scoring tile. Just 4 tiles in the bag, and they're looking non-bingo-y with F, G, and W. Look at this, almost the entire game played in the bottom right-hand diagonal. Opponent does create a new bingo lane. And I only lead by 40, so I do have to think about this. So, how to think about it? Well, there's 2 tiles in the bag. I can just do this. Slightly dangerous, but not really. In most ordinary games, I think this would be dangerous because I would lead by only 40 points. And opponent with G's, M's and W's and the blank could put together a couple of high-scoring moves. However, it's not dangerous in this game because there is just nowhere to play. There's just nowhere to play. It's a shame to only get 8 points when I could get a lot more playing in column 12. How important is it to take out this bingo lane? I'm not sure it is, because I can play A here for 18, which would give me a 59-point lead. Any bingo in row B is going to be face value and is unlikely with G, M and W to come. But should opponent bingo in row B, I am undoubtedly going to have scoring opportunities created by his play. So I think I will play A down the bottom. 3 minutes on my clock. Any other Y spots I should be considering? No, I don't think so. Well, I draw the W, which is actually good because there's 1 tile in the bag. If opponent bingos, I will be able to leverage the W for score. I lead by 59 points. Wow, opponent does have a bingo and takes the lead by 11. Gosh. Okay. And can I score? Wow. This will be sickening if I lose from this position. I trail by 11. Where can opponent play his E? And only 3 minutes on my clock. He's got S for 6. 4. 8 in the bottom row. So I think he can get 8, which means 403. I need to score 20 to win, and that's taking account of score and count back. And I'm not sure I can do that. The W is scuppering me. Wow. No scoring spots on the board. Gosh, this is painful. What do I have? Well, I have nothing to go in front of the M. And then I would need II. I've got nothing down from IS. My W can go underneath the E, but it just doesn't connect with the other tiles that I've got. And I don't think Indries is going to score enough. I don't have an S. Indri for 16, that's not going to be enough. 400. 2 minutes on my clock to find something better. Is there really nowhere for my W? Well, what about Wade? 20. That's not enough. Gosh, Scrabble's such a brutal game. 1 minute on my clock. And very well played by opponent in opening the board up with Frau to give me the opportunity of making an error, which I have done. Well, what about Iwi? How much time have I got? I don't think this is going to be enough. Iwi scores 25, but I lose 10, to net gain of only 15, and I needed 20 to win. But I think this is the best I've seen so far. Are there any other spots for Iwi? There is underneath the A, but it doesn't score as much. How long has opponent got? He's got 13 minutes to find his winning play, and I'm sure he'll enjoy whatever time he spends. Is there really no way of making this slightly better? 28 seconds left. I don't think there is. And I trail by 14, but opponent's getting 10 on countback. He only needs to score 5 points to win, and there are plenty of spots on the board to manage that. And I wonder if Message made a bingo with FY. If I'd played FY, I would have had the same final rack, but of course Message wouldn't have been played. A slightly different play would have been. And opponent goes out. And the final score, 409 for me, 413 for my opponent, a winning margin of 4 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. Well, let's indeed see what I missed. So, opponent's opening rack, he changed my rack, and I play Quanta. I think there is an argument for playing Quant, but there are arguments for both, and opponent did have an A. Plays Teat, and I play Vig for 21 to take a decent lead in the early stages of this game. Opponent, unbalanced rack, plays Bot. I play Hui. Unhip also available in row H, but a much worse rack leave. Unhip scores 6 points more than Hui, but I think EINP is 6 points better than EI. Certainly pretty close. So EI must be worth about minus 2, I would say. And Pine, I would say, is quite decent, maybe 4 or 5. So maybe a 6 point difference in score, but if there is a difference in score, if the moves are similar after taking account of score and rack leave, I prefer the move with the better rack leave. Opponent's rack, lots of vowels, plays Roo. And I play Pink, and interesting, Punked doesn't appear on this list, which means I guess it's not good. Pinked is, but Punked isn't. So I still like Pink. I spent a long time on this move, but I think I ended up where I wanted to be. Nice play by opponents. I lead by 60. And I play Up Go for 20. Ooped available. But that opens column 1 and also keeps GU, which lacks synergy. Opponent's rack plays Joe for 28. Could have got 50 for Hadji onto the E of Weekon. Phew. I literally noticed that I had louvered on my rack without that E after the V, so louvered as a 7. I was waiting to see if it played anywhere. Fortunately, it didn't, because I didn't spot that 7-letter bingo in game time. Now, what I do here is play Vor for 31, and I think that's fine. Nice rack for opponent, and he has a bingo. H12, 1,000 through the O of Up Go. Tricky one to spot. Common word, but it doesn't have a prefix or suffix. Now, I lead by 40. And I have Axel for 68, and this put me in a pretty good position. Wow, opponent has a ton of bingos and plays Ob. Interesting. Okay, not sure whether he missed all of them. sometimes when you have a lot of bingos, they're all obscure bingos, so not spotting one looks worse than it actually is. And just scanning down here, there certainly are a few tricky ones to spot. Now, this was my rack, and I play Curd, which isn't on this list, but I think is fine. It's not far off, and it's serving a strategic purpose. Look at this for a rack for opponent. Plays Dandiest, and my lead has shrunk to 20. Now, I play Caesars for 46, but 8k Craze available. I saw Riser, but not Craze. I don't like Craze because it sticks an E in the open, and that's a bingo lane, whereas Caesars really takes out bingo lanes and establishes a good lead. Now, opponent sitting here with the blank plays Maze. I recklessly play Rill, but nothing obviously better. Look at this, the second highest scoring play, just 12 points. And now I lead by 50, and opponent's got this rack. He plays If for 25. I play Sly for 29, the highest score on offer, and taking out this L floater. And look at this, opponent may have had something through that L. Can't immediately see a play, but he may have done. So, critical moment. He plays Frau to leave 2 in the bag. I lead by 40. What to do? So, M12, day. And one must bear in mind at this point that opponent does have a bingo. He has Message, which plays in row B. And, well, these rack leaves are pretty atrocious. So this really is a case, I think, where one needs to simulate to find out what's best, which I think one definitively would. But it's very difficult to judge just from static evaluators. So, opponent's rack. Absolutely great bingo. Message and Magassa. And now I trail by just 11 points. Could I have won? Well, I don't think so. Iwi is the highest scoring play. And I was looking for score plus count back to amount to 20. And looking down, that simply doesn't happen. And opponent goes out for 8 points. So, what a game. Really tight board. I had control. I was in the lead and closing down the remaining bingo lanes and thought I had done just that. But opponent opens the board up and I make a strategic decision not to shut down the bingo lane he opened. I felt I could outrun a bingo, which was in any event unlikely. But both of those events were untrue. Opponent did have his unlikely bingo and I couldn't outrun him. So that's just part of the brutality of the game, and it also demonstrates how much calculation is involved in these situations to try to determine the best move and how difficult it is to actually perform those calculations. I've no idea whether AY is better or worse than FY. I didn't at the time of making the move, and I don't with this very quick post-game analysis. Certainly there is an answer to that question, and simulation would reveal it, and I'll post that at the end of this video. But in the meantime, many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.